Let me welcome you to Melbourne African Motives. We are on Business Studies grade 11. So we are going to do essay, which is section C. So you're going to do our revision on essay, which is section C. So we are going to prepare ourselves with the paper which was written in March 2025, which was written in March 2025. And this paper was written in Northwest Province. Remember, we did revise this question paper, so we were left with the last part, which is section C. So we're left with the section C of the question paper that we discussed together, of which was written in Northwest Province. So that is that. So like we are saying, this is in relation to grade 11. So let's quickly go to section C, question 5. So here we are on section C, and we are going to do question 5. But before we can go there, there are instructions that are given. As you can see here, it says answer any one question in this section. So we have two questions and we are asked to answer one question. But as we are going to make sure that we are going to answer both of those two questions. There is a note that is given that as well that you have to go through when you are going to choose the question. So today we are, but as you are not going to make any, we are not going to choose any question. But it's very important to go through that note so that the next time or when you are writing exams, you know very well that you don't make any mistake. So it says clearly indicate the question number of the chosen question. So the answer to the question must start on a new page. For example, question 5 on a new page or question 6 on a new page. So that is a very important note that you are to take it into consideration. So now let us quickly go to question 5. The question 5 is about business environments adapting to challenges of the business environment. So now we have to go through this scenario. We are to go through this passage, and then we are going to write our essay based on the aspects that are given. So it says business use networking and lobbying to meet their specific needs and activities. So successful business have the ability to adapt to many challenges that the business face. So business should undertake measures that can benefit their community and have a direct influence on the environment. So that is that. So now we are to attend to the SS. It says write an essay on adapting to challenges of the business environment in which you include the following aspects. So before you can even talk about the aspects when you write essay, don't ever forget the structure of the essay, that the essay must have introduction, it must have body, whereby it is going to be built by these given aspects. The body is going to be built by these given aspects. Also, the essay must have what? Conclusion. That is that. So the aspects that are given are outline the advantages of networking, explain the reasons why business lobby, discuss the following ways in which can adapt to challenges. That's when we're talking about the information management, strategic responses. And the last one is recommend ways in which business can have a direct influence on the environment. So that is that. So the first, we have said first we have to start with the introduction. So let us go to our answers. So here we are on our answers. As you know, we are on section C, question 5. Like I've said, we first have to start with introduction. We first have to start with introduction. So the first point or first statement we're given under the introduction is that networking, uh, networking refers to a coordinated activity when people have similar objectives. Objectives meet and exchange information and ideas. So that is that. We are saying when we are talking of networking, this is whereby we're talking about those where people meet and then exchange what information and ideas. They network. So that is that. In a business context, networking also assists in acquiring new business leads as a measure advantage. So that is that. With networking, there will be new leads, and that will give the business an advantage. The business will be able to differentiate itself from others because of that leads that is going to give them an advantage, measure advantage. Lobbying is an organized process where individual business and organizations use their influence to change government policies. So this is whereby the individual businesses, enterprises, organizations, they use their influence to change government policies. So they can influence the government to change their policies. We call that lobbying. So business are faced with various challenges emanating from both internal and external environments. So that is that. So the success of business depends on the ability to adapt to these challenges. So, meaning to say, with this introduction, what we're saying in short is that business operate in internal as well as external environments, which create challenges. So, such create what? Challenges. So, to survive, business must adapt. For the business to adapt, because we are saying internal and external environments to create what? Challenges. So what business need to do is to adapt. Is to network where they're going to share ideas with other people, is to lobby where they can now be able to influence government policies, where they can influence government to change their policies. So to change now their decisions that affect what the businesses. For example, a company may lobby the government to reduce business taxes. You see, so that is what we are talking about when we are talking about a lobby. That is where you influence the government to change what the decisions. But with networking, this is where we are saying coordinate. People coordinate activity where they meet and share similar ideas, similar objectives. So that is that. So now let us come to the advantages of networking. Advantages of networking. So with advantages of networking, this is our first aspect that we're asked to talk about. As we can see, it says outline the advantages of networking. So the first one says business can attract new customers, resulting in increased market share and profitability. So business are going to attract new customers. So networking allows business to meet potential customers and increases sales. For example, a coffee business owner attends a business expo and gains new clients. So with networking, you can attract new customers, and that will help you to win the market share. And then with more sales coming, the profit is going to come as well. Networking can be an excellent source of new perspectives and business ideas. Source of new ideas. So we're saying networking can be source of new ideas. So that is that. Where we are saying networking is going to allow entrepreneurs to share ideas and learn new strategies. That is why it becomes source of new ideas. This is where we are saying the entrepreneurs are going to share ideas and they're going to learn new strategy. So that is that. Also, it further on says, allows managers to build new business relationships and generate new business opportunities. So it builds business relationship. Networking builds a It builds what? Business relationships. It builds business relationships. So that is that. So it means networking helps managers build relationships with suppliers, investors, as well as partners. For example, a small shop owner meets a wholesaler who offers cheaper stock. That is what we're saying. A relationship is going to be created. It plays a role in the marketing and expansion of a business. Networking. We're talking about networking. So it means networking exposes the business to new markets. That is what we are saying. It helps marketing and expansion. It also assists business in making future business decisions. So it means we are saying networking helps in decision making. Information from networking helps managers make better business decisions. That is that. Also, business can gain support when representation to various authorities is planned. So that is that. So now let us go to another aspect. And the other aspect was that we were asked to give reasons why business lobby. Remember, we've said when you're talking about lobby, this is where individuals, businesses can influence a government to change its policies. So that is that. Why do business lobby? That is what we want. Explain the reasons why business lobby. So that is that. As it is, business lobby their regulator or supervisor body in order to try to influence prices, policies, regulations, and other decisions made by the regulator or the supervisory body. So we are saying business lobby to influence laws and regulations that affect them. They lobby, in short, business lobby just because they want to influence laws. They lobby because they want influence to influence what? Laws and regulations that affect them. And regulations that affect them. That is the first reason why business lobby. For example, taxi associations lobbying government for new transport regulations. So that is that. Business or people lobby or change laws like child labor laws, clean air, and water laws, municipal regulations. So they lobby because they want to change laws affecting business. They lobby because they want to change laws affecting them. They lobby because they want to change laws affecting them as a business. So business try to influence laws such as labor laws or environmental regulations. For example, a mining company is lobbying against strict, stricter environmental laws. So that is that. Their views are important and heard, thus making difference and giving solutions to business challenges. So they ensure their views are heard. They ensure their views are heard. They ensure views are ahead. So that's that. So lobbying gives business a voice in government decision making. So that's that. Lobby advances businessmen's cause and builds public trust. Public trust, sorry. So we are saying build public trust and support. So lobbying can help business promote their interest to the public. So that is that. Let us move on. So here we are talking about ways in which business can adapt to challenges, information management. So this is our aspect that we have to talk about. As you can see, it says discuss the following ways in which business can adapt to challenges. So information management and strategic response. So let's first start by the information management. As it says, information must be found. As it says, Information must be found, recorded, stored easily, and retrieved and effectively used. So that is that. Meaning to say, we are talking about collecting and storing information. So that's what we're talking about. Meaning to say, we are saying business must store and manage information effectively. So that's what we are trying to say by saying businesses must store. We are saying businesses must store and manage manage information effectively. Effectively. So that's what we are meaning. For example, you can say a supermarket that uses computer system to track the stock. That is what we are trying to say. Business need to implement an effective information management system which is accessible and useful to all staff members. So implement information system. What we are trying to say, we are saying they have to do what? They have to implement a information systems. Information systems. So business should use systems accessible to employees. For example, companies using database to store customer information. So that is what we are saying. Also, they should invest large capital into information technology, but you have IT system to update business operations. So here we're talking about invest in IT system. Business have to do what? Invest. They have to invest in IT systems. So we're talking about information technology systems. So as you know, technology helps improve operations. So business, they have to invest a large capital into information technology. Hope you're together on that. Also, business may benefit from an increase in market share and profitability. So that is that. So now we are to go to another, we're still under ways in which business can adapt to challenges. So we first start by information management, and now we are on strategic now management. Strategic management. So with strategic management, as it says, management needs to design strategic response to various challenges by analyzing all information, identifying stakeholders involved. So we are saying managers must analyze information. Meaning to say managers must analyze information before making decisions. So that is a strategic response. You have to make sure that you're going to analyze information before you can make a decision. For example, a business may study sales data before launching a new product. So they need to go through that the data of sales before they can even launch a new product, before they can decide to launch a new product. So that is what we are saying, good people. So also it says get clear picture of each stakeholder viewpoints and requirements. So here we are saying as a business, you are to do what? You are to get a clear picture of stakeholders' viewpoints and requirements. So that is that. Business need to be aware of new competitors in the market and they must be able to strategically respond to threats. So we're talking about respond to competitors. Respond to competitors. Business must react to new competitors. So for example, a cell phone company lowers prices when competitors enters the market. That is how they're going to respond to competitors. Correct strategic response assists business to identify the most important features of their products. So here we're talking about what? Where you develop what? The strategic plans. So that is that. So now let us go to another aspect. So 5.5. So this is where we are to recommend ways in which business can have a direct influence on the environment. So we are to talk about that aspect. So here we are on that one, as it says, ways in which business can have a direct influence on the environment. Ways in which business can have a direct influence on the environment. So as it says, business need to be flexible by getting involved in research, development that they can continue to operate. So business have to what? Invest in research. They are to invest in research and development. That's what this statement means. As you know, business develop new products to stay competitive. So if business, we are saying, develop new products for them to be competitive, it means they have to go through research and try to find out what customers want. So influence its supplies by signing long-term contracts. So they influence what? Their suppliers. So business may sign long-term contract with suppliers. So that is how they influence suppliers. They create new uses for a product by finding new customers. So they find new customers. So business can expand markets in short. They influence regulators through lobbying and bargaining. So we've said when they're doing lobbying, that's when they influence government policies to change. So we are saying business do influence regulators through lobbying. So that is when business try to influence government decisions. So that is that. So bargain with trade unions, as we are talking about the bargain now, this is when the business negotiate wages and working conditions. That is what we're saying. They influence regulators through lobby and bargaining. They initiate bargaining session between management and unions. So, like we've said, that is when they are going to negotiate wages and working conditions. Also, influence its owners using information contained in annual reports. So we are talking about the influence owners through annual reports. That is when business share performance information with shareholders. Also, they negotiate strategic alliance agreement through contractual processes. So that's when we talk about strategic alliances, where we know very well that business cooperate with others to improve competitiveness. So that is that. So now we are to conclude our question 5. We are to conclude it. So with conclusion, like it says, business can influence regulators through lobbying and bargaining. So, and can influence their owners using information contained in annual reports. Also, business need to put necessary measures in place that could assist in minimizing the effects of these challenges. Business needs to investigate alternative environmental friendly production techniques and create environmental awareness. So, meaning with this conclusion, we are trying to say business must adapt to environmental challenges by networking, lobbying, and using effective strategies to remain competitive and sustainable. So that is that. So now we are to quickly go to question 6. We are to quickly go to question 6. So here we are on question 6. So question 6, let's go quickly to the questions. So let us go straight to question. Here is our question 6. So question 6 is about business ventures, the avenues of acquiring a business. So now let us go through this scenario. As it says, leasing is another opportunity available for entrepreneurs to consider as an avenue to acquire business which has its own advantages. So prospective business owners should also be aware of the contractual implications of each business avenue. Some entrepreneurs prefer to purchase an existing business where they also sign contracts depending on the type of avenue they prefer buying. So we are to write an essay on avenues of acquiring business in which you include the following aspects. So like question 5, we know very well when you do essay, we are going to start with introduction and come to the body, which I've said it is built by, we are building our body with these given aspects, and then conclusion follows. So the first aspect was to outline the meaning of listening, but first let us attend to introduction. So here we are on question 6, business ventures, avenues of acquiring a business. So introduction. So on our introduction, it says business opportunity is a chance for a person to start a business so that they can generate an income. So if there is opportunity, that is when now we have a chance that you can establish, you can start your own business, and then so that you can have income in return. So entrepreneurs are people who constantly look at the new business opportunities and take risk. So we know entrepreneurs are risk takers. They look for opportunities. So they don't take foolish risk, they take moderate risk. That is what we are saying. Entrepreneurs are people who constantly look at new business opportunities and take risk when starting new business, which may also include a leasing. So that is that. Also, entrepreneurs establish their own business, sometimes fail to sustain this business, sometimes due to contractual implications with agreements. Also, some entrepreneurs may opt for an existing business due to established customer base, known market, and other related factors. So they would want to buy existing business because they know that the market is already proven, their customers, it is a known business. So that. So with our introduction, as we have said, entrepreneurs are constantly looking for business opportunities, ways to start and acquire business, such as leasing, franchising, buying existing business. So that is that. So now let us come to the meaning of leasing. Meaning of leasing. So that is what we asked to give. As the first aspect was to outline the meaning of leasing. So let us attend to that. So here we are on the meaning of leasing. As it says, leasing is a method whereby a business pays for the use of an asset, e.g. equipment, land, and material. So paying use of an asset, that's a leasing. Paying to use an asset. Paying to use an asset. So that is that. Leasing is when a business pays to use equipment or property without owning it. So you lease it. So that is that. The companies, the construction companies, they do lease what machinery if they are doing a project that they are to run. Then we come to the person who owns the asset is known as the lessor. So lessor, we are saying, is the owner of the asset. That is, for example, a bank leasing vehicles to companies. So the banks are the lessors. Then we have lessee. As he says, the lessee is the person who used the asset. The lessee is the person who uses the person who, or business using the asset. So that is that. That is a lessee. So now we have that another point which says the lessor will make the asset available to the lessee who released the asset in return for an agreed amount called the lessee leasing charges. So you're reading about the leasing charges. So a leasing charges That is where we are talking about the lessee pays a regular fee for using the asset. That is the charge that is to be paid by the lessee. So the leasing fee usually includes maintenance fee and insurance fee. So we're talking about the maintenance that are included. So the lessor may repair or replace the asset. So that is that. So the lessor has to repair and replace the asset if needed. This is what I've already said. So this is a method that gives business the option of obtaining the use of asset for certain period instead of buying the asset. So that is the meaning of leasing. So now let us see what other aspect wanted. So the other aspect on question 6 was to discuss the advantages of leasing as an avenue of acquiring a business. So we're talking about the advantages now. So we're talking about the advantages of leasing as an avenue for acquiring a business. So that is where we are now. So the first one is leasing improves the cash flow of the business. So business avoid large upfront payments. So a small business leasing computers instead of buying them. That is why we say leasing improves the cash flow of the business. Leasing is regarded as an expense for the lessee and is therefore not regarded as a debt. So not considered as a debt. Leasing payments are treated as an expenses. So that is that. So now the lessor it receives a continual rental income. So you are talking about continuous income for lessor. So the owner earns rental income. That is the lessor. Lessor is the owner. Lessor can get quantity discount by using goods in bulk to supply various lessees. So here we are talking about that the lessor can get quantity discount. They can get what? A quantity discount by buying in bulk. The asset can be returned to the lessor when it is no longer needed. So assets can be returned. So business can retain assets when no longer needed. They are allowed to do that. So makes budgeting and planning easier and it provides better control over cash flow. So easier budgeting. Now they're talking about easier budgeting. When you're talking about regular payments, help the business plan finances. Also retains ownership of the asset, which can be sold to recover money at the end of lease. So that is that where we are saying it retains ownership of the assets. So also it further on says there is no large financial outlay as the cost is spread over number of months or year. Number of months or year. So the lessor normally covers the maintenance or replaces any damaged parts of the equipment. That is a lessor. So there are tax advantages as rental payment are calculated as operating costs and therefore tax deducted. So also it is easy to lease a better or a newer version of the product without the capital outlay. So that is that. Now we are to go to another aspect. Let's see what are other aspects under question 6. So the other aspect is to explain contractual implications of franchising. So that is that. So here we are on contractual implications of franchising. So here are our answers for contractual implications of franchising. So it says the franchisor and franchisee, these two, must sign a franchise agreement, which is legally binding on both parties, that is franchisor and franchisee. So the agreement must cover the following aspects: a confidentiality clause. So we are talking about the franchise agreement. That is a legal contract between the franchisor and franchisee. So that is that. So, like they're talking about the confidentiality clause. This is this one. So with confidential clause, the confidential clause is going to protect business secrets. That is for example, that franchisee cannot share recipes. So you cannot share recipes with other people. Tax requirements, tax requirements, as it says, tax requirements. Also, disclosure documents. Documents are to be disclosed. A settlement of disputes. So if there are disputes, make sure that they are going to be settled. They are not just being overlooked. We need to settle them so that things will work for the business. How to sell or transfer the franchise. So that is that you are to know how to sell or transfer franchise. Total investment. So now we're talking about what? Total investment. So we've told also with how to deal with trademarks and patents and logos. Advertising policies, the initial duration of the franchisee and renewal rights. The policies that govern the product or service, royalties, and service fee payable. So also we have talked about the royalties and service fees. That is if franchisee pays fees to the franchisor, you know that. Also, uh, the initial duration of the franchise and renewal okay, the policies that govern the product or service, or you are supposed to be under termination clause and its consequences. Also, training and operational support provided by the franchisor. The obligations of the franchisor and franchisee, the nature and extent of the rights and granted to the franchisee, also the form of ownership that the franchise will operate under. So that is that. So we are now to conclude now. We are now to conclude. As our conclusion says, entrepreneurship is the activity of setting up a business or business, taking on financial risk. So when you start the business, we know you start the business in the face of risk, in the hope of making what? A profit. That is that. So an entrepreneur that has an investment capital available would consider buying business using any option suitable for them. So entrepreneurship with large or good investment, they would rather go for buying a business that has already have customers, market share, so that is that. So good people, this is the end of this presentation, and please make use of this presentation as it will help you a lot when you are writing essays. For term one, even in the final examination, it will be very helpful. Thank you very much for your time.